Yeah, I'm sorry. Both sections I didn't turn. Esma. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone. And so what I have discussed is, what I said up to now is, in the previous class, we have defined what is a program driver. Is program driver, meaning that from this location only, the program is going to start its execution. So what is that program driver? A method which is public, static, void, main, and an array of objects of string class. Then we can call this statement as program driver. Why we have defined this only? Main is a method where we are going to start its execution. Why we have written? Because the main method of Java doesn't going to return anything. Static means, so first JVM will start its execution from where? From the main method. So to access this main method, it can access in two ways. One is through creating an object, but creating an object by JVM is a very difficult task for each and every time. So instead of that, we can access it simply with respect to class name. That is the reason we can define it as a static. And why we are define it as public? Public means, so the main method of Java, meaning that the execution class should be accessed by every programmer. So to make it access to every programmer, whether he is from the same software or from different software, we have to use access modifier as public. Yes. So in a single Java program, we may have n classes. Among all those n classes, we will have one execution class from where the Java program starts, and n minus one business logic classes are there. And this execution logic class will define the order in which these n minus one business logic classes has to execute, defined by the execution class. Defined by the execution class. Yes. So this is what we have discussed in the previous class. And also we have discussed something like why we want to write multiple classes instead of writing in a single class. Because if you are giving a static input, then in the real world, so many like except programmers, nobody won't have know about how to modify these values, because they people have to uh, dig into the code and they have to modify this 7 to 10 and 9 to 11. So this is the problem in static input. This is the problem in static input, right? So this approach, we can call it as hard-coded approach. Hard-coded approach or static approach. Static approach. Meaning that simply you can say that what do you mean by hard-coded approach? In hard-coded approach, we are going to give input to the program statically. So that kind of approach we can call it as hard-coded approach. What is the problem in hard-coded approach? In hard-coded approach, every person has to dig into the code manually, and he has to modify these values to some other values if they want to change. So this is the problem. Means nobody don't have idea about programming. So to overcome this problem, we are moving for accepting the input data dynamically. This approach we can call it as dynamic approach, or we can say it is a flexible approach, because not only programmer, even though Navi user can able to give input, right? So that is the reason it is flexible for everyone. We can call it as a dynamic approach. So, and then we have seen how to give input dynamically, right? So to give input dynamically, we'll have n number of ways similar to like C language, right? In C language, we can able to give input through command prompt. We can able to give input through command. Yes, that is one approach. And another approach is we can give it through keyboard. And something like you can go for some kind of process, we'll go for XML document. So where we will use the concept of advanced Java and something like resource bundle. These are the four approaches are there to give input dynamically to the Java book, right? I have discussed that also in the previous class. Okay, so before going to move to the next topic, how to accept input dynamically through command prompt, let's first analyze, let's first give a brief description about the concept of various kind of control statements. So what I am thinking is here, you already know all these statements. If it is similar to only C language, control statement, you know. So I am directly going to define. So control statements, what it will do, the name itself it defines. It will control the program. It will control the program. Control statements will control flow of execution of program. Flow of execution of program. There are various kind of control statements are there. One is if control statement are there, like if else control statement is there, if else ladder is there, and something like nested if is there, right? So you know all these syntaxes are similar to similar to C language only, right? The same syntax, whatever syntax that we are using in C language, it is similar to in Java also. Okay, so I don't want to give much more examples. Why when we go for if, when we go for if else ladder, all this, I will just give a syntax. If means, so these all control statements are used to only use it to check condition. Use it to check condition that if that condition is true, then it will go into the body of that block. Otherwise, it will go for nothing. So I mean the general syntax of if is if condition. That's it. If this condition is true, it will execute its body of block. If this condition is false, it will exit from the block. You know already. If else means if you want to define. I mean, so if somebody asks, when we go for if loop and when we go for if else block, when we go for if else ladder, just tell about something. When we go for if block means if you want to define only positive statements, then we will go for if block. Positive statement with respect to what? With respect to condition, meaning that I want to define positive statements for the valid condition, then I will go for if statement. In if else, I don't want to bother about whether it is a positive statement or negative statement. I want to give the result to both conditions. Like if it is a positive, meaning that if I want to give for both positive and negative, then I will go for if else ladder. If we have more than two possibilities, then we'll go for if else ladder. Nested if means writing a condition inside another condition, we can go for nested if. So I will give simple example. If condition, if this condition is satisfied, I want to check for another condition. If condition, I want to check for another condition, meaning that this is a kind of if statement I have written inside another if statement. Yes, guys, I'm thinking that you already know all this. Okay, so this is what all about control statement. And you know there is one more statement is there, switch statement. So you know in switch statement, when we go for switch statement, and what is the difference between like if else ladder and switch statement? You know both are having same purpose. So this one, I mean the third kind of control statement used for to execute one statement from multiple conditions. Similarly, switch statement is also used for to execute one statement from multiple conditions. The syntax is same for both in C language as well as in Java. Okay, so you know what how you are going to write switch off some kind of expression, and you are going to take some kind of case where it can be a literal or it can be some kind of constant, literal or some kind of constant, and this is a kind of case, right? Within the cases you have to explicitly specify break. If you are not specifying explicitly break, then what will happen? If this particular condition is satisfied, case statement is satisfied, then automatically it's going to execute the next case also. But I don't want to like that. Then I will go for writing break statement. If all these statements are not executed, then there is a one last case statement, that is a default block. If irrespective of whether these are all executing or not, it is going to execute the default statement. Guys, I have a question. Can we write multiple, nested switch statements? Nested switch cases. Yes, definitely. Why not? So like for example, in case one, I have written some condition and then I have to go for a break. Coming to case two, when when the given input is matched with the two value, then I will go for executing one more switch case, switch off some expression. Like this I can write, meaning that nested switch statements are also possible. Nested switch statements are also possible. To control the flow of execution of any program, we can use various kind of control statements. One is if else ladder, nested if, and switch statements. Okay, fine. So these are all for what? These control statements are for to execute body of the program only one time. Only one time. Meaning that if you want to execute a particular block of code only one time, then we'll go for control statement. I don't want like that. I want to execute body of a block multiple times. Then I will go for looping statements. You know already. So there are various kind of looping statements are there. One is a for loop, second one while loop, and do while loop. Okay, so for loop, in for loop you are having three statements, so it is similar to only C language syntax. In for loop you will have three statements: for loop, initialization statement, conditional statement, and increment or decrement statement. If this particular condition is satisfied, then the block of statement is going to execute. Okay, and coming to while loop, while of condition. If a condition is satisfied, then only my block will be executed. Coming to do while loop, do block of statements and then followed by while of condition. Guys, tell me what is the difference between while and do while? So in while, in do while, body of the block will execute at least one time. Irrespective of its condition, it is going to execute at least one time in do while. Whereas coming to while loop, if the condition is satisfied, then only it will execute its body. That is the main difference between while and do while. Can you give the difference between for loop and while loop? If you know already how many times the block of code is going to execute, then we'll go for loop. If you know already how many times the block of code is going to execute, then we'll go for loop. If I don't know like that, I don't know how many times my block of code is going to execute, then I will go for while loop. Okay, in interview also you will get the main questions like this one. What is the difference between for loop and while loop, or while and do while? Okay, so this is all about the various kind of control statements. Okay, so the main difference between this first slide and second slide is, in this slide whatever I have discussed, all those are going to execute for only one time, and in this page, for and while and do while are going to execute for multiple times. Okay, fine. Now let me see the concept of, let me continue with the previous class, how to accept input dynamically from command prompt. From command prompt. Okay, fine. Accepting input dynamically. I mean, so what we are going to do in the previous programs, I have directly given the input values in the program itself, so that user no need to give input from the during runtime. Like here, what I will do, here I am going to use the compiler, Java compiler, followed by demo mul.java. Then I will directly run my program, Java space demo mul. Here I didn't given any kind of input. I didn't given any kind of input in my command prompt, right? Whereas coming to, so if you want to give input dynamically, we have to give input from command prompt. Okay. So as you are giving the inputs during runtime, we can call it as dynamic way of accessing inputs. So during runtime means how we are going to go for runtime. First, we need to compile Java C. Java C is a command, you know already, used for compiling. Java C space some jk dot Java. So with this statement, I can say that it compilation process is done. Then it is going to generate what? It is going to generate jk dot class file. In the statement, in the next statement, what I have to do? I have to run this statement. I have to run means I have to use the command Java command followed by class name, and then I will enter. So this is what we have done if I have given the inputs dynamically. But if I want to give input through the command prompt, what you are going to do? First step is you are going to compile. In the second step, you are going to run. But during the runtime itself, I am going to give the values. I'm going to give the values. Okay. So whatever the values that you are passing, from command prompt, these all we call it as command line arguments. So what do you mean by command line arguments? The values which we are passing through command prompt, we can call it as a command line arguments. So how many values are you passing, ma? You are passing here two values. Guys, tell me, I am writing Java space jk space 456. How many values I have passed here? I have passed here three values. Next, I have written Java space jk space 4 Krishna 6. How many values I have passed here? Here also I have passed three values. I mean, so what will happen when we pass the inputs to the program dynamically through command prompt? What will happen is, so you know, class loader subsystem. What it will do? It is going to load dot class file from secondary memory to primary memory. You know, secondary memory to primary memory, it is going to load. What kind of files it is going to load? Dot class files it is going to load. So this class loader subsystem is going to take the command line arguments. I mean, what I am saying is class loader subsystem is going to load dot class file from secondary memory to primary memory along with command line arguments. Then immediately the next step is JVM is going to execute, right? So whenever JVM is going to execute, JVM what it will do? It is going to check for the corresponding class name, whether it contains public static void main string aux. So I said already, aux means I can write like K or JK or some name, anything I can give. So JVM is going to check for the method. JVM is going to check for, we can say directly, a program driver. And so there exists a method. Let us assume that there is a method, and I have executed this one. What will happen? It is going to contain. It's going to contain the length of this array is now 2. The length of this array is now 2. I hope you are understanding. For example, you have passed this one. You have passed this one. Then the length of the array. The length of the array is 3. For example, you have passed this one. Then the length of the array is 3. I mean, I will explain very clearly once again. See, what's going on is here. Here, what I am saying is, I have written class something like CSC, and I have written public static void main string aux, and I have written some block of code here. Assume that there is only single class. Then what I am going to do? I am going to take Java C space CSC dot Java, compile successful because there are no errors. Assume. Then I am going to run Java space CSC space 23. If I give 23, what will happen? JVM will take. I mean here, JVM will invoke. So before that, class load subsystem also there. Along with class load subsystem is going to load dot class from secondary memory to primary memory. Then JVM will invoke, and it is going to check for program driver, and it will load what kind of values? All the command line arguments. So those values are passed to here. I mean, if you check the array A, it contains 2 values, 2 and 3. But don't think that it is a syntax. It is not a syntax. I am for understandable. I am defined. It contains 2. So meaning that whatever the arguments that you are passing, those arguments are passed to a main method of Java. Okay, now fine. So after can I write like this? Java space CSC space 10, 10.5 A and true. Can I write like this or not? Yes, I can write. At that time, what is the array of string size? The array of string size is 4. Okay, fine. ఇంతవరకు బాగానే ఉంది. So here question is, whatever the values I have passed here, I want to display those values. Whatever the values I have passed here, I want to display those values. Can I display all those values? Yes. Why not? Because A array contains all these values. Then I can simply write A of 0, A of 1, A of 2, A of 3, and so on. But how many? Question is how many? How many you know? You don't know exactly, but you can define that. How many number of values are there? Those many values I need to print here. Meaning that, so if I want to print the values which are present in this array A, I want to find out first length of that input. I want to find out the length of the input. Guys, in C language, if you want to find the input, if you want to find the length of the array dynamical, if you want to find the length of the input, then what you are going to do? You are going to use size of operator, size of followed by array name, followed by you are going to perform size of the type of data type. This is what already you know. Okay, fine. So coming to Java language, there is a predefined implicit variable. Implicit means automatically it will come through the software of Java. So length is a variable. Length is one of the implicit variable which is created by JVM and supplied as a part of Java software, whose purpose is to find number of values present in the array. To find number of values present in the arrays, and it is for to treat fundamental arrays. I mean to treat every array as object. Every array as object. Okay, I hope you understood the first point. So if you want to understand the second point, let we have some more time. Okay, so length is a predefined implicit variable used to find the total number of elements present in array. So what it is going to return? It is going to return an integer value. An integer value. For example, let me write. For example, I have an array int a of int a of 10 comma 20 comma 30 comma 30. Okay, fine. For example, I want to print the total number. I want to count the total number of elements. Then what I'm going to write? I'm going to use system dot out dot println of you know number of values are number of values are it's a kind of value and it's a kind of string. So you have to use the concatenation of it. Plus what I need to write? I need to write array name dot length. Array name dot length. Name dot length. So what is the meaning of this one? A is an array. For that array, I can able to apply the variable length variable so that you will get the output as 3. Output as 3. For example, I have given the input as 40. Then here will get the value as 4. Okay. For example, I want to print all these values. Then what I will do? I will simply write one for loop for int I equal to 0. I less than up to what rotation I have to find out? A dot length I plus plus. I am going to write system dot out dot println of a of I. A of I. So I mean what I am concluding here is, for example, there is an array float. X is an array. It contains all float values 1.5f, 2.5f, and something like 10.5. Yeah, 10.5. I mean, it is a kind of array. So in Java language, if you want to find the total number of values in an array, then I can simply use array name dot predefined keyword length. And I want to print all these values. So I'm going to initialize with a value 0. So for I equal to 0, and I'm going to increment every time. And I'm going to write some kind of I less than x dot length. Then I'm going to print SOP of x of I. So this is a kind of okay now. Okay, I think I hope you You are getting my voice, right? Yes. Okay. Thank you. Yes. So this is what. So what have we discussed here? Length is a implicit variable used to find the length of the array. Length of the array. Okay. So here, what I am saying is there exists a class. There exists class called Java, and it contains public static void main aux string aux. Okay, I will write straight aux. Okay, now fine. Whenever I have passed values during runtime, Java space. Sorry, you will get confused. Something like CSC. Java space Java space CSC space 535. Then what will happen? This array A contains three values. Those three values are 5 and 3 and 5. It will look like this: 5, 3, and 5. Index starts with 0, 1, 2. 0, 1, 2. If you want to print, what I will do? I will just simply use one for loop, and I will find out the initialization of the value, and I will count the total length of the array. What is the length of the array? A dot length followed by a plus plus every time. I'm going to perform system.out.println of this is what we did. What we did, guys. Here, observe one thing. Observe one thing. Here, for example, let us assume that I want my main aim is to explain one important thing here. I will write once again. Don't worry. Anything. Uh, Class CSC public static void main string aux. I want to write code for something like uh, some value. Let us assume that uh, what I can say. mm, I'm writing. I'm writing uh, int x equal to, or I will write. I will write. I will print s of 0. I will print. So what is s of 0? System.out.println. I will print system.out.println of s of 1. Let us assume that there are only two values I have passed. I mean, how I am going to pass? Java space CSC space 5 comma 6. 5 comma 6. Then I am going to print system.out.println of s of 0 plus s of 1. What is the output? Can anybody answer? What is the output you will get? Can anybody tell me the answer? What is the output you will get? 56. Very good. 56 is correct answer. Yes. So you are fast, I think. Yes, 56 you will get. See, for this line it is going to print 5. For this line it is going to print 6. And for this line it is going to print 56. Why you are getting it is 56? Because here S of 0 and S of 1 both are strings. Both are strings. Why I am saying that both are strings? Because it is accepting the parameters. It is accepting the parameters in the form of strings only. It is accepting the parameters in the form of strings. I mean, what I am saying is the Java command line arguments. In Java programming, all the command line arguments are sending to the main method. Sending to the main method in the form of strings only. In the form of strings. In the form of array of objects of string class. So even though you are giving the input as 5, even though you are giving the input as integer 5 and you are giving the integer input as 6, then it is going to convert it into the string type. The string type. Here you will get a question. Sir, why? Java is always accepting array of objects of string class. Okay, in the previous class I said, so in future I will define, right? So why Java is always accepts array of objects of string class. Why? Because because see guys, as you are a program developer, you can able to give input as 5 comma 6 in the integer, and I am going to give in the form of string. Somebody people is going to give in the form of float, somebody will able to give in the form of a double. Like that everybody will give its own input, but with respect of that input, my program has to understood the main method. My program has to understood the main method. So for that, what it will do is, whatever the values that you are sending through command prompt, those are all implicitly converts to string, and it will pass to the array method, then the programmer can able to convert manually. Why? Because whoever are writing the code, they know already whether I am passing an integer value, then I will convert it into integer. If I am passing float values, then I can able to convert into float. If I am passing here double values, then I can able to convert into double. But in a system, if you are passing an integer type, the JVM doesn't able to understood. I want to pass here integer values. So that is the reason what they did is, irrespective of type of input you are giving, the command line arguments are always sent in the form of strings. Then, as these inputs are given by the programmer, those inputs are used by the programmer only, right? So that is where he can able to convert them into manually. He can convert to manual part. He can convert manually, and he can use wherever you want. If suppose for example they have converted, so what I'm saying is this array contains all are in string type. All are in string type. Now we have converted this s of 0 and s of 1. Then what will happen? 5 plus 6, 11. When you get 11, after performing what? We can call it as typecasting. This is what you know already in C language, right? So what do you mean by typecasting? It is a process of converting. It is a process of converting one format to another format. Another format. We call it as typecasting. So what I did, I have the data which is of what format? String format. I have converted into what? Integer format. Then we can call it as typecasting, meaning that, so whenever you are going to take input dynamically, through the command prompt, it is the responsibility of the programmer. To convert every command line argument into its corresponding value. Every command line argument means every command line argument is in the form of a string. If it requires an integer value, it has to convert into integer. If it requires a float value, it has to convert into float. If it requires double value, it has to convert into double. If it requires byte, it has to convert into byte, etc. So you have to convert explicitly. Convert it may yield a different result. See, for example, here I didn't convert it. Then what will happen? I have got some different result. 5, 6. For example, sorry, okay, plus కాబట్టి సరిపోయింది. ఒకవేళ ఇక్కడ మైనస్ ఉంటే you will get compiled, you will get runtime error. I mean, what I can conclude is, whatever the argument that you are passing over a command argument, giving dynamically, you have to convert manually using typecasting performance. So typecasting means converting one format to another format. Okay, no, fine. So I mean, on string format, we cannot convert. So why you are getting here concatenation? Because on string data, we cannot perform numerical operations. So what will happen? It is going to simply perform concatenation. So that is the reason we need to go for typecasting. Typecasting. Okay, now, guys. So what you have to do in typecasting? So in C language, what will happen? You are going to take some variable that is in that V. I am going to convert into, for example, that is in another format. I want to convert into integer. Then you are going to prefix with the int. Then int. This is what you are going to do in C language. In C language. Similarly, in Java also you have to use the concept of wrapper classes. The concept of wrapper classes. So, sir, what do you mean by wrapper classes? Wrapper classes means these are the predefined classes. These are the predefined classes which are given for each and every fundamental data type. Each and every fundamental data type. I mean, for each and every fundamental data type, there exists a predefined class. There exists a predefined class. That predefined class, we can call it as a wrapper class. We can call it as a wrapper class. Sir, what is the purpose of wrapper classes? The purpose of wrapper class is to perform typecasting. To perform typecasting. So meaning that to convert string values into corresponding fundamental values. Corresponding fundamental. What are the corresponding fundamental values? It can be an integer, it can be a float, it can be a double, or it can be a byte, etc. Can be byte. So which class we call it as wrapper classes? For each and every class, for each and every data type, there exists a predefined class. There exists a predefined class. We can call it as wrapper class. What is the use of wrapper classes? Used for to convert the string values into fundamental values. What is the need of converting this one? Because command line arguments always produce string values only. Always produce string values. So that is the reason we go for wrapper classes. So typecasting is achieved in Java through which concept? Through the concept of wrapper classes. Through the concept of wrapper classes. Okay, guys, tell me, for your understandability, I am writing one fundamental data type. I am writing one fundamental data type. That fundamental data type is integer. Okay, so what my requirement is, for example, I have passed Java space CSC space 5 6. As I have passed 5 and 6 are integers, but I got it as strings. What do you need to do? You need to convert. You need to perform typecasting. Typecasting can be achieved through the concept of wrapper classes. So wrapper class and enti, for every data type, there exists a predefined class. What is the, for example, what is the data type? Integer data type. So integer data type కూడా integer predefined class ఉంటుంది. So predefined class అంటున్నామంటే క్లాస్ ఎలా రాస్తామా? నార్మల్ క్లాస్ కీవర్డ్, క్లాస్ నేమ్ ఎలా స్టార్ట్ చేస్తాం? Will always starts with capital letter. So int followed by parenthesis. That is full name, predefined class. So predefined class and integer, I capital letter. You know already the rule. Yes. In this class, there exists a method. That method is public static return type integer, and they have implemented one method, parse int method. They have implemented a method called parse int method, and it is going to take what kind of variables? Integer values, right? Sorry, it is going to accept string values, because parse int is a method which is used for converting string values into integer values. So they have written some predefined code. So you have to inbuiltly use this method. So this is a method which was given by whom? Java developers. So if I want to use this parse int method, what is the meaning of parse? Parsing antam kada. I mean, bugging. I mean checking, parsing of the value, parsing of the string value, parsing of the string value. So for this here you are going to get string value. So what is the purpose of parse into method? Use it to convert string values into integer values. Use it to convert string values into integer value. So I have got a value 5. Is 5 is what kind of data? Integer value. Integer value. So integer value నేను ఇప్పుడు ఇంటీజర్ వాల్యూ ఏ ఫార్మాట్ లో ఉంది, స్ట్రింగ్ ఫార్మాట్ లో ఉంది. ఇప్పుడు దీన్ని నేను ఇంటీజర్ లో కన్వర్ట్ చేయాలంటే ఏం కాల్ చేయాలి? పార్సింట్ మెథడ్ కాల్ చేయాలి. కానీ పార్సింట్ మెథడ్ కాల్ చేయాలంటే అది ఎలా ఉందమ్మా? ఇట్ ఈస్ defined with a as static method. Static method how we are going to call? With respect to class name. So what I will do is with respect to class name I will call integer dot parse int of. So what is the parameter? It is going to place like s of 0. S of 0. I mean I am going to write like this. So what happened? So I got two parameters. One is string parameter 5 and another one is string 6. So to convert that into integer, so why they have written only integer? Because already the input programmer, already the input who are giving the input, they already know I am giving here it as integer, but system is converting into string. So you have to convert into manual. So here this class we call it as a proper class. So what is the meaning of proper class? Proper class is a predefined class whose purpose is to convert into the corresponding value. Integer dot parseInt of s of 0. So now x contains value 5. Let me take one more one. Int y. To convert into integer. Integer dot parseInt of s of 1. Now this contains 6. Then int z equal to x plus y. System dot out dot println of z. You will get the value 11. Get the value 11. So guys, I hope you are understanding everything. So now you understood that why I am defining the method rules. Method rules and first word, first letter should be small, and subsequent consequent word should be first letter should be capital. Class name always should be capital. So these are the rules you have to understand. Similarly, for double or for something, some other fundamental type, class something like float anukundam. Float kentamma first letter capital, float, public static void main. Sorry, I am going directly, right? I am sorry. Public static, and its return type is what? Its return type is float. I mean it's going to return right integer values, right? Its return type is float. The method they have given is parse float, and what they are accepting? String, and it's going to return float values. So if you want to convert a string into float values, what is syntax? Can anybody write them? If you understood this, can anybody write what is the syntax? Are you understood or not? What is syntax for converting string to float? Yes, ma. Very good. Joshna. Very good. Nice answer. Yes, very good. Everyone, very good. So float is a class. Dot parse float is a method. Yes, very good. So what I'm going to write? I'm going to call the corresponding class float dot parse float of some other type. Then as I'm going to get float values, I need to write float f. Yes. So now understood what they will be wrapper class. Wrapper class is used for to convert. It is a predefined class which is used for converting string type into the corresponding values. You know what are the various kind of fundamental data types? Guys, can anybody say in Java how many fundamental data types are there? Can anybody answer? 4 amma. Deshwari. You have to refer the first class. 8. Very good. Nagaraju. Yes, very good. Thanks for just one sec. So there are 8 fundamental data types are there. One is byte, another one is short, int, long, float, double, character, boolean. This is all what I have explained with the chart. Okay. So for all these fundamental types, there is a predefined wrapper class. What is that wrapper class? The same thing. Byte will be, as it is a class, I have to start with a capital letter. Short. Short. Okay. Short. Int. This is only changed. Int integer. Long. Long. Float. Capital F. Everything is capital. Double. Capital D. Char. Capital C. Boolean. Capital. And how we are going to convert? How we are going to typecast? Through the syntax of, so that one method sent him. It is in the form of public static. The return type is basic return type byte, and it is going to convert into what is they have implemented as parse byte, and it's going to accept what string. Similarly, you have to write everything. This is what it is going to return. Return type is short. Return type is integer. Return type is long. Return type is float. Return type is double. And you know, parse short, S capital. Parse int, parse int, parse long, parse float, parse double. And everything is accepted as money రాసాని చెప్పేసి అలా రాయద్దన్నం. So to make convenient for me, I have written like this. Yes. Next, Boolean ఏంటేమో public static. This is not like public static. Return type is Boolean and parse Boolean of string value. Parse Boolean of string value. Guys, here there is no concept of character wrapper class. There is no concept of character wrapper class. Can anybody tell me the reason why character wrapper class is not there? Why? Any reason? Because somebody have written. Because command line arguments are strings. తీసుకుంటారు కదా సార్. Yes, strings cannot be converted to character. Very good. That's it. Because it itself a string, which we cannot able to convert string to a character, right? It itself a string. I hope you know the meaning. Because character can strings cannot be converted to character. So that is the reason character wrapper class is not there in Java language. So with this, I can say that how to convert anything into any format, you know everything clearly, right? Now, is there any doubt up to here? Yes, very good, Revati. Exact definition. Any doubts up to here? No doubts. Okay, fine.